It's the Memphis Sports Network, WMC Memphis, WMFS HD2 Bartlett Memphis, WMFS FM and HD1 Bartlett, WMFS Memphis, ESPN 790 AM and 92.9 FM ESPN.
The views and opinions of the hosts or guests of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of the management or staff of Intercom Memphis.
Watch the sunrise, new day's dawning, and it's calling you and me. Where the mighty Mississippi flows by Memphis, Tennessee. We've got woodlands, fields, and water. Hey, there is no better way. You can find out all about it on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Make some time, take the family, ask a friend, but don't delay. Listen up and learn about it on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Listen up and learn about it on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services. Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
And good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray. And as you can tell from this distinguished voice, this is not Larry Ray. Hi, I'm Dave Gabbard, TWRA West Tennessee information guy. We're sitting in for Larry. Larry called me and wanted me to kind of sit in his chair because he said, I'm going on vacation. I said, well, you deserve a vacation. So here on the first or the second official day of autumn, it's the 23rd of September here. Of course, today you might be up and thinking about bow hunting this afternoon. Today is the opening day of the Tennessee archery season. But we've got an exciting show for our listeners today. We've got it covered from A to Z. We've got people that can talk the industry. Got John Gordon over here.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Glad to be here.
John with Avery. And then, of course, we've got the ever-popular Ron Wong. That's a little early to say.
Ever popular.
Ron, yeah, Juan Wong. It's early to say that. It's just early in the morning, Ron.
It is early in the morning
Ron,
for me.
You know, he's kind of our fisheries tournament guru, you know. So, and we've got lots of guests this morning. We're going to talk fish. We're going to probably talk fowl. We're going to talk about anything and everything. You never know what we're going to talk about here on Saturday morning. And our first guest this morning is claim to fame last weekend down at Bass Pro. They had the giant monster catfish tournament on the Mississippi River. And Mr. Daryl Masingale. How you with us, Daryl?
Doing very good today. Appreciate you inviting me on your show.
Okay, yeah, Ron said we need to talk to Daryl, so we're going to talk to Daryl.
Well, first of all, Daryl, you know, on behalf of Outdoors with Larry Ray, congratulations to you and Jason for winning the second Mississippi River Monsters Catfish Tournament out on the Mississippi River out of the Bass Pro Shop there at the Pyramid. And, gosh, you guys have won it the second year in a row. And at one point in time there, you guys thought there's no way we'd just like to finish in the top 20. And lo and behold, you catch the largest catfish of the tournament, 77 pounds plus, and had 152 pounds, I believe.
158.
158. And I got to tell you, what a performance. You know, tell our listeners, as you told us there at the tournament, it was really slow for you guys. I think he said you had 7 bites and caught 7 fish during the day. How did the day go?
That's right, Ron. It was a tough day. All week long, the area that we had fished was being pre-fished by other competitors that was not familiar with the area. So they was out doing their research and trying to put together a game plan just like we all do. And we knew that the fish was going to be beat up, so to speak. They had been fished all week hard, and we wasn't going into it expecting to get a lot of bites. We was just going out there trying to get. Really, we wanted about 8 to 10 good quality bites, and like I said, we ended up getting the 7, a little less than what we expected. But our plan going into that tournament was just to stay close to the ramp, to the weigh-in site, try to get as many hours in of fishing, keeping our baits in the water, and stay moving and try to cover as much water as we could and put the baits in front of the fish so we could get them bites we was looking for.
And, Daryl, you talk about bait, and we've got a lot of people that like catfishing throughout the Memphis Mid-South area. Tell our listeners the kind of bait you use, because, one of the things that you guys did at the end there when you were accepting your awards and all your money and everything else, you were saying you gave a thanks to the bait guy, and you said, if it wasn't for the bait, we might not have been able to do it.
That's right. We fish, and the majority of the anglers on these tournament trails fish with a skipjack herring. And, they are native to the Mississippi River, but not in much abundance. They're hard to find, difficult to catch. A lot of our bait that we use comes from the Tennessee River, around the Pickwick area, into Wilson, around the Wilson Dams, and on up that way. And bait this past weekend was very hard to catch. And, the bait guys, they catch and sell to the competitors out there, and without that we'd had to go to alternative baits, which aren't necessarily as favorable for catching these large catfish. The bigger catfish seem to like the fresh, oily, bloody bait, I guess, that skipjack produces. So like I said, if it wasn't for them, it would be a lot tougher tournament.
Daryl, and you're using the skipjack, cut skipjack or chunks of it. Tell our listeners a little bit about the method in which you guys use to catfish. Most people think, well, I'm going to anchor down, throw my bait out, and just kind of wait for them to come to the bait. But you guys really fish a little bit differently, don't you?
That's right. There's nothing wrong with anchoring on fish. The only limiting factor there is when you do anchor, you're only covering, about as far back as you can throw your lines, and maybe another, 200 foot down below that where the scent trail follows.
Mm-hmm.
This time of the year when the water is warm, the temperatures are warm, these catfish are up and actively feeding. They're moving around quite a bit. So, we try to move with them. We try to put our baits, cover as much area as we can. And the method we use to do that is what a lot of people call bumping bait, or bumping the bottom, or drifting. We will position our boat in the river in an area where we think the fish, will be feeding. We slow our boat speed floating back down the river current to about half whatever the river current speed is, and then we take our rods, and with the lighter weight, we'll bounce the bottom. What that means is you'll drop your bait to the bottom with a weight on, and you continually pick the bait up off the bottom, say a foot or two, and then you drop it down to the bottom. You're continually following that bottom of the river as you float backwards down. And by doing that, like I said, you're constantly moving and covering more water, which puts your bait in front of potentially more fish, and has been a very effective method for us and a lot of the other anglers out there. It's something that's coming around in the past, probably I'd say 8 to 10 years, and has proven pretty effectively to be the preferred way to catch some of these larger and bigger fish.
you guys, it was a hot day out there, and obviously it affected the bite some because of the weather. It got so hot and everything else. Because although there were some 11 teams that had over 100 pounds, the bite was considerably slower than what it has been, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And we had heard stories of the previous 2 days before that tournament of people catching, 50, 60, all the way up to 90-pound fish.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's good, meaning the fish are up and actively feeding. But then again, sometimes them fish will feed really aggressively, and then you'll have a slow day or two after that aggressive bite, and that's what happened here. The Thursday and the Friday before the tournament, that the fish was feeding, and I think that they went through that heavy feeding period, and Saturday they had slacked back, they had cut back on their feeding, and like I said, there was we had the fish for 77 for the big fish, and I think the next biggest fish was 60, and the rest of the weight was 40 pounds and less. So those bigger fish that everybody was targeting wasn't up and actively feeding very well.
No, they weren't.
We got lucky and just happened to find one or two that wanted to bite. But the big bites were definitely far and few between.
I've got a question for what depth are out there on the Mississippi River that where you finded these fish?
We typically with the way the river stage is right now, I think it was -2 or -3
mm-hmm.
there Saturday morning. The water level is lower, and predominantly you can find good fishable water in the 25 to 45 foot range. And a lot of our areas we fished, that's pretty much the depth we was looking for. Towards the end of the day, when the sun got up, directly over the top of this, the brightest part of the day, we went and looked for just a little bit deeper water. I think we finished the day out in probably 55 to 60 foot of water. But now, in both cases, we never got on any pattern where we got more bites at one than the other. It was sporadic throughout the day. Our 7 bites started at, we got 1 or 2 bites there, by 7:30, and then the remaining 5 was scattered all the way to the end. I mean, our last fish we caught was at 2:45, 15 minutes before the tournament ended. So, it was tough all day long, and like I said, I think the key to our success was just trying to stay moving and covering as much water as we possibly could.
And I know you was talking about bumping the bottom, as a, old sauger fisherman. That's how,
That's
mainly
right.
fish for sauger over on the Tennessee River. But
That's exact same method.
I have a question. Except on Tennessee River, you can pretty well control your boat speed with your trolling motor. What about on the Mississippi? Did you have to use your big motor, or did the trolling motor slow it?
We fish. We typically look for areas where the water or the water speed, the river speed, is less than 3 miles an hour. And in those instances, what we try to do is, if the river is flowing at 3 miles an hour, we will run our trolling motors up to where we cut that speed in half. We'll drift at 1.5 miles an hour. If we're in 2 mile an hour current, we'll try to keep our boat speed at 1 mile an hour. Of course, you have to have GPS capability on either your depth finder or on a handheld unit to do that. But that's what we look for. It is very difficult to go much slower than that without draining your trolling motor batteries too quick.
Right,
Daryl.
We did it all day long, and
yeah.
We try to cut our river speed in half when we do this.
Daryl, we appreciate your time. We've run out of time this morning. We at Outdoors with Larry Ray again want to congratulate you and Jason on a nice win in the Mississippi River Monsters Catfish Tournament. And for all you listeners out there, go out to lroutdoors.com. We've got a bunch of pictures out there from the tournament. You'll be able to see Daryl and Jason's big catfish and all of the other contestants that were out there, and a lot of catfish. Daryl, thank you again, and congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, Ron.
You can find out